We have Chris Whalen, who's scheduled to join us at 30 minutes past the hour. I guess we'll thank Chris, because Chris is the person that he is. Chris Whalen is on live now. He's not just my CPA, he's our CPA for late night parents, and hopefully for you guys. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. April 15th is come and gone, so I'm very happy right now.
Chris, I want to apologize. Last week I was in New Orleans, and I had planned a grand plan of Chris Whalen coming on April 15th, because the question I had is, oh, my God, Chris, I missed the April 15th tax deadline. What should I do? And so, Chris, I'll throw that question to you. What should you do?
Well, first of all, the most important thing to remember is that even if you did have an extension of time to file, it is only an extension to file the paper. It's not an extension of time to pay the money you might owe. So people put themselves in a terrible position that even if your taxes aren't done, even if you're procrastinating, if you believe there might be something due, definitely contact me so we can get some money paid in some way so that clock stops ticking against you for late payment penalties. It's very important.
Chris, I got to stop you right now, because let's say this is my case. We're going to stop this interview right now, because I'm going to say, how do I get in contact with you?
Well, of course, reach out to me on my website, which is chriswhalencpa.com, and that's CHRISWHALENCPA.com. Full contact part of my site there. You can call me, email me, text me. Please do it as soon as possible so I can inventory your information, take you in. I've handled probably since April 15th about 20 new clients just with the same exact situation. They don't know what to do. They're very nervous. So you need to contact me so I can take away all the anxiety and the stress and come up with a strategic plan to get these things filed and done for you. You don't have to be nervous. The IRS is not stalking you. You need someone in front of you to play defense against the IRS and get you filed appropriately as soon as possible. So please call me and reach out to me as soon as possible.
Hey, Chris, I smiled last week when my wife called me. So I work in downtown Manhattan. It was the Easter break, I guess. My wife called me and said, oh, my goodness, Ted, you have to call the IRS right now. They called the house, and they said, you owe money, and here's the phone number. And I started laughing because I thought of you immediately. And I said, honey, give me the phone number. And I called the number, and the person was, I said, Pam, what is the gentleman's name? Special Agent John whatever. I said, okay. I said, let me just write all this stuff down. I said, let me give him a call. So you know what I did? I went to use my Google Voice app, and I dialed them back, and I had a real good time with them. I took them for a ride, Chris.
Good. They deserve it. The other thing about late filing and non-filing right now is that there are some people, if they do procrastinate, they might have procrastinated in prior years, and they might be on installment plans, for example. So you have to remember, it's very, very easy to lose your installment plan. Part of the rules are that you need to keep up with your estimated payments and file on time, or at least get your extensions done. So anyone out there that does have an installment plan that is not properly filed or extended, please contact me, because we need to alert the IRS that, yes, you have strayed here a little bit, but we're going to keep you on the straight and narrow one, because once we lose the installment plan, it is a nightmare. It can be gotten back, but it takes a lot of time and professional money to pay me to try to get them to reinstate it. So I urge everyone who is now paralyzed with worry and fear that to please call me. We do this every day. I will hold your hand through the process, and you don't have to be worried or bewildered or nervous any longer. This is what I do every day. We will establish a plan for you that you'll never have to go through what you've been through in the past again.
Chris, here's my next scenario or problem. So I'm a TurboTax user, and I got an email from TurboTax saying they were hacked, but not to worry. And what does that mean for me? What does that mean for the casual TurboTax user, and he's unsure of whether he was hacked, whether he wasn't? What do you tell people like that?
Well, any person who did file their own taxes with an online service such as TurboTax, first line of defense is to make sure when you're done with your taxes, you've removed all your personal data. You don't want to leave it there because there were several million accounts hacked with eTax, TurboTax, H&R Block Online. I mean, I've probably seen and heard from 100 people in the past 30 days who have been hacked and they don't know what to do. So your data, their systems are not secure at all. They're easily hacked, just like Target has been hacked or other retailers are hacked. So this is an identity thief's dream information. It's easily gotten by them. It's going to be a nightmare for these people who are hacked next year. So if you were a TurboTax user, I urge you to contact them to make sure to see what the truth is about your data, but remove all of your data, personal data, from their systems. If you need to use them again next year, which I don't recommend you use their system, of course, but if you do, then you could re-enter that information again if you'd like to. But there is no system that I've seen that consumers use, and I test all of them. I'm a technology expert, so I have not found one that I'm comfortable with personally, honestly. So I can't recommend any of them. So please do all you can to remove your data. Any questions or problems, call me immediately. Send me an email off my website. I help people with this every day.
Chris, you might have not known, but over the 2014 calendar year, I became a small business owner. I'm really not sure what to do. I have a couple of employees. It just seems different than the previous year when I was working for someone. What would you suggest that I do?
Well, first of all, when you become a business owner, often you're hiring people to work for you. And one of the biggest mistakes that people make is assigning someone a subcontractor status instead of an employee status. Many small business owners believe they can simply choose to do that, which is not true. There are certain rules that regulate if someone's an W-2 employee or not. You need to make sure that within your town you're properly licensed. Do you have a home office? Are you eligible to have a home office? Are you properly registered with any licensing bodies within your state for what you do? These are things that small business owners I do. I do an inventory of all these things when I meet someone, a contractor, someone working at home on their own, no matter what, to make sure that they're in compliance, because you don't want the city or state coming in to tell you, you cannot run your company from your home, for example, because you're not in compliance, and now you have to pay us these penalties. So you really need to make sure that you're operating within the law, local, state, and federally. And also you need to make sure you have proper insurance. A very big problem with small business owners is the failure to even get a small business owner's policy. Very important you have commercial insurance and liability insurance. And a little trick here is that a lot of homeowners can add on to their homeowner's insurance an umbrella of personal liability that is very inexpensive, that will follow you wherever you go, even in business transactions. And you also want to make sure, do you have an LLC or not? Do you have an entity that will give you some limited liability protection? It costs a little bit of money, but it's well worth it, especially if you have people working for you. It's very hard for people to then go after you if you have a loss. Let's say you have a bread company and the driver of your bread truck hits somebody. Of course, the driver of the truck can be sued. Your company can be sued because the truck is owned by the company. But it's very hard for them to go after your personal assets unless you've had something to do with negligence of that maintenance on that truck. So you really need to have a nice initial meeting with someone like me to really say, here's how we need to set things up, here's how to set you on the right course, so you don't have a surprise that's going to interrupt your business 6 months from now. And I see this every day with people that aren't prepared.
Chris, my last question, tax-related for you is, okay, so I've been a renter my entire life, and I just purchased a home towards the tail end of 2013. What does that mean to me?
Well, it number one, it let you most likely itemize your deductions. Everyone on their tax return gets what's called a standard deduction or an itemized deduction, and it gives you some kind of credit for some personal expenses you're paying, so you can get a tax deduction for them. When you itemize your deductions, where you have mortgage and on a home, mortgage interest and taxes, you sometimes can exceed that standard deduction, and it can give you a much greater deduction. So, for example, let's say that you're renting and you're paying $2,500 a month just for your personal rent. Now, that's not anything that's really deductible for you personally on your federal return. But let's say you were paying $2,500 in interest and taxes, same exact amount of money you're paying out of your pocket. I can take that full deduction on my as an itemized deduction over my standard deduction. So homeownership is still an excellent vehicle for tax deduction. It also then opens you up to take other deductions as itemized deductions, like contributions you make during the year, unreimbursed business expenses, medical deductions. So there's so many things you can take and add on to your itemized deductions once you get up to a certain threshold. So I urge everyone, if they can, of course, own a home and get the right price for a home, it opens you up to substantial tax savings.
Chris, I want to shift gears because you've given us some stellar tax information. But I think there's a foxhole father side of you. What's happening with the Foxhole Father?
Well, thank you. Foxhole Father, The Field Guide for Fathers, is a book I put out last year. It's doing very well. It's a book for fathers. It teaches men how to be the masculine but non-judgmental sanctuary for their children. The book's been doing very well. It sold well on Amazon over the holidays, and I didn't do as much as I wanted, of course, in tax season, but I have some good book signings coming up. I've done some work at libraries. I'm working on some television. So I'm definitely pushing it. I'm getting a lot of great interest just organically from a lot of moms are writing. It's interesting. Moms are writing to me on the website telling me that they've read the book and they want their husbands to be this way. So it's something I wouldn't even have imagined. I wrote this really from men to men, and so I'm getting the moms interested and really believing in my philosophy. So I urge everyone, if you know a father, have a father to be, please go to my website, foxholefather.com. Come learn about that community. I support dads of all kinds, and it's a really great community that's growing every day. And I want everyone's feedback. The book's available on Amazon, of course, Foxhole Father. It's also available on Kindle there. And the community's growing, and again, it's just actually each person by person who's writing to me from around the world now, and I'm connecting with each of them, and it's really an individual handshake online and talking and sharing stories, and people are sending me their stories, which is going to become one of my next books is Foxhole Father. It's going to be stories from the foxhole. So I urge fathers to send me their Foxhole Father stories because it's going to become part of one of the next books I'm doing in the series.
Chris, you have an excellent story, and this is not the first time, and this is definitely not the last time you're coming on this show, because I think in the next 6 months or so, I really don't do any fortune telling, or I'm not good in the predictions area, but I got a feeling you and I are going to be working together on a couple of projects coming up in the next 6 to 9 months or so. Really excited for all that you do. I want to say thank you.
Well, we are very welcome. I look forward to working on anything and everything that you think we could partner on. Of course, I'd be there tomorrow.
Chris, want to give you a one-time round of applause. Hey, Chris, I want to ask you one quick question. today's Earth Day. Tell me, what have you done to make the environment that much better?
Excellent question. I've done this for years, and I endorse paperless environments. I maintain one in my office. I endorse technology-related paperless solutions that I have partners I work with to help any type of business to reduce their paper, number one. And also to try to get companies to see the benefits of having people telecommute at least a few days a week. A lot of companies aren't that comfortable, believe it or not, right now. And I try to stress, hey, we can save the commuting, we can save the subways and the trains, and people. I can install effective telecommuting systems, which I do also in my work, to give a virtual office environment and let people save the ecology by not commuting a few days a week.
Chris, thanks so much. Looking forward to working with you in the very near future. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you, Ted. Have a fantastic night.
You too. And that was, believe it or not, my good friend, Christopher Whalen, the Foxhole Father,